What's up guys, Sammy here, and today I've got a video of my top 15 favorite paid Mac apps. Now this list is really in no particular order, all prices are listed in American dollars. So without further ado, let's jump into the first app. And the first app we're looking at is an app called Bartender. Now Bartender allows you to keep a CleanMyMac status bar. So here you can see at the top here, I've got the date and the time, and next to that I have my logo. So I can click that and it will reveal all of the other status menu bar icons. I can also customize what is shown within the menu bar. So if I go to Bartender and then go to menu items, you can see that I can change what icons show up in this sort of personal menu bar. So for example, I've got different apps for different things. So iStat menus is a big one. And then I've got some other apps that are sort of shown. And each time you open an app that isn't sort of added already, you can then sort of add this to the area where it's hidden. So for example, I've got the airport Wi-Fi as hidden. I could choose to always show it, so it would just always show in my menu bar, or I can just show it so it shows in the menu bar, but it doesn't show here in the hidden bar. So it's a really cool way of just kind of keeping your status bar cleaner. I've also got the option to change the icon here. So currently I have it as my logo, but I can set it to something like a little symbol here or a bow tie. And yeah, so I usually use that. You've also got the option for hotkeys. What I really like about this is I can just press Command-Shift-Space to reveal all of the icons, press it again to hide it. Or if I'm looking for something in particular, I can press Command-Shift-S and then type iStat. So it'll only show the iStat menus in the menu bar. I think it's a really cool app. It's a little pricey for what it is, but I think it's actually worth it. And it's just an easy sort of clean way to keep your Mac status bar looking a little cleaner. So the next app we're going to be looking at is an app called Alfred. Now, Alfred is basically a Spotlight search replacement. It's priced at $29 for the single power pack option. However, you can just use it for free for its free basic features. We'll be looking at the advanced sort of more premium features in a moment. But yeah, it's basically Spotlight search in a nutshell, but it allows you to do a lot more things. So for example, I can press Command Spacebar and it'll bring up a similar Spotlight search thing that you've probably seen before, but it allows you to do a lot more. So for example, I can type in Amazon or Google or eBay, for example. I can just type dog toys. So then it's going to bring up your default web browser. Mine is Chrome, and it shows you dog toys. Same thing, Amazon, dog toys, you'll see the same thing. I think it's really useful in that regard because it allows you to just get to what you need to get to. You can also do like sort of shut down from here if you want to. You can sleep. You can do a whole range of functions as well. You've also got the option to do shortcuts. So you can do Command-Alt-C to bring up your snippets bar. So things that you would normally sort of use quite often. You can do Command-Alt-E and this will bring up different things. Like I've got one right here for a sort of a standard thing that I usually email companies with, my address, stuff like that, which is really useful just to have on bar if you ever need it. You can also adjust the settings. So for example, if I was to go Command Space, Alfred, show the Alfred preferences, you've got a whole bunch of things here that you can do. You can search, contacts, folders, all of the main things that you would already be able to do in Spotlight search, but you can do a whole lot more. You can do file search, actions, so file actions, these types of things here. You can also customize it for even more sort of websites. So if there's a website that you particularly want to use, like Twitter, IMDb, you can add that here as well as a custom search. You can do clipboard managing, what you want to actually keep in the clipboard, which is really useful. Snippets again, calculator, lots of advanced stuff as well. So there's a whole range of things that you can do, even terminal integration. And so, yeah, so there's a lot of system options here, as I was saying as well. Now, the main thing about the Power Pack option, which is really quite impressive, is you can actually use this feature called Workflows. Now, Workflows extends the functionality of Alfred 1,000 times. So what you can do is you can import or create your own sort of workflows. Now, these workflows have been made by community members. So, for example, you can bring up a code. So, for example, I want to type FFFF. You'll see it gives me the hexadecimal format, RGB, a whole range of things, and this can be great for developers. You can convert, so a quantity, so like $10, you know, I think it's $10 AUD to USD, I believe it is, or something around that range, or maybe you have to take out the symbol. There we go. So you can see it's $6.80. That's kind of cool. You've also got a mini Spotify player, so you can choose this, and then you can see what's current track is being played, which will just come up with that. I don't know why it's choosing to do that, but usually you can go into here and you can just sort of begin typing and doing a whole range of things here, which is really useful when you don't want to have to open up the app as well. You can do time zones, so you can choose all of the different time zones and see what sort of times are going on in the rest of the world. You can also download a video from YouTube, so DV, you can download a copied video from your clipboard and then just download the video to your desktop. Really useful. You can also convert it into just download the audio from that video. That's actually one of my favorite features to use as well. There's also some other features like changing the appearance of it you can do. And it's just generally, out of all of the apps in this list, it's definitely one of the main ones that I would suggest checking out the most. So the next app that we're going to be checking out is called Things. Now, Things is priced at $49.99, and I definitely don't get enough usage out of this app. However, what it does do well is it allows you to keep track of things that you are doing on your day-to-day sort of basis. It allows you kind of keep more organized with what you're doing in your life. And it's actually been kind of useful just to keep track of videos that I'm working on. So for example, here I've just finished the Mophie USB. I can just tick that off. That's now transferred into my logbook. So you can see here, I've got it in my logbook. I can see other things that I'm working on. So this video, some other videos I've got to work on. I can choose to schedule a to-do so that it comes up in the upcoming field. I can choose to do it someday. I can see what's in my trash can. I can create new lists. So from here, I can create a new list and I can create a new project, define a goal, work towards that and do it in your own time, or a group of projects, which is great as well. So it's really easy to just add a to-do. I can just add a to-do here, type in the to-do that I want to. I can also set a date for it. And I can add reminders. I can add tags to it. I can add checklists and a deadline. So all of these different things is really good to have. I definitely don't get enough usage out of it, as I said, but it is really good to have. And it's something that I'm definitely going to be using a lot in the future. I would say it's definitely on the pricey side, but if you need to keep if you want to sort of manage your life a little bit more, this is definitely one of those apps that I would say is a good choice. So the next app that I want to show you guys is Fantastical 2. Now, I did include this in the previous version of my top 5 paid apps, Mac apps, and I gotta say it's definitely one of the best apps that I still use to this day. So Fantastical 2 has a great sort of menu bar interface. So if we go up here, we can then see I've got a little icon which is Fantastical 2. I can also use a shortcut, but as you can see here, I've got a month view. I've also got like sort of a view of my calendar events in different order as well, sort of in a list view. But what's unique about this app is that you can just add things to your calendar so easily. So for example, I could type lunch with Steve. Steve Thompson, let's say, making up names. Steve Thompson at Grilled. And what it's going to do is it's going to show me a list of grilled locations closest to me. So I'm going to just select one of these ones. On, let's say Tuesday, you'll see that it's starting to populate those fields and alert me 30 minutes before. And as you can see, it's going to give me an alert 30 minutes before. It's going to give me all of that. And then I can just add it simply to my calendar. It's going to show up there and, you know, it'll alert me on my phone or whatever like that. So it's really good to have it. It syncs with all of your popular calendars. So for example, I use Google Calendar, so that's what I'm going to use, and it'll show up in my Google Calendar as well. I can also sort of choose different calendars, so you can manage calendars here. So you can show which ones are going to show up. But yeah, you can also add a whole range of calendars. So you've got the option to add iCloud, Exchange, Office 365, Google, Yahoo, etc. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there. And I would definitely say it's one of the ones that I use quite often, more so than I would be using Google Calendar. I don't use calendars a whole lot, but when I do use them, Fantastical 2 is the one that I use. Now, it also has a really nice layout on the app itself. So even though it has a great functionality-wise for the actual menu bar, I actually do prefer its clean, minimalistic interface on the Mac side of things too, on the actual app side of things. So you've got a day, you've got a week view, you've got a month view, a year view. And so then you've also got the calendar sort of here, and then a list of all the different events. You can just see sort of how everything sort of flows really well with it. Now, I'm not showing my personal account for obvious reasons, but as you can see, once the app, you know, sort of shows the different things that are coming up here, you can see that it actually looks really nice, and you can sort of navigate really easily. You can also add events from here as well, just so simply. And I think it's just a really great app. There is also a light interface if you don't want to use the dark interface, dark mode. I think it's definitely a recommendation. It is on the quite pricey side, you know, at $49.99. So it's not cheap, but for what it does, I think it's a must-have app. So the next app is more of a utility or a tool than it is an app, and it's called Juice, and it's priced at $5.99. And this is what the developer calls the missing Bluetooth manager of macOS. And it simply is just that. So bringing up Juice comes up here in the menu bar, or you can have it selected in your hidden menu bar, which is what I prefer to do. I don't know why it's not showing there. But if we come up to here, there's a perfect example of how you can just choose to hide it. And so there we go. So it's in the menu bar. But so we open up Juice here, open up the control center, and this is just like an awesome way, sort of a really clean way of accessing what you want to, you know, see all your Bluetooth devices. So in here, we've got preferences, the ability to sort of launch the different things here. We can also make it so that, so say I've got my headphones right here, my Sony WH-1000 XM3s, I can right click this and click on connect, or I can just click the actual thing right here. I can just click it. It's going to start connecting to my headphones, and there you can see it's connected straight to it. I can also go more info, and I can set a shortcut, which is really cool. So I can set a shortcut there, and so every time I press that, it will then bring it, even if the app is closed, it will actually connect to my headphones, assuming that the headphones are on. So if I disconnect it, for example, and then I press the shortcut key, it will then, there we go. It's connected to my headphones, and I can hear that they were saying Bluetooth is connected. So right in here, it's really cool as well that it shows you all the different sort of the manufacturer, all of the sort of metadata as well. So this is one of those apps that's not completely necessary. It would be nice if Apple had something similar to this built in. But for what it does, I think it's quite nice. And it's one of those apps that I see myself using quite a bit on my Mac. So the next app that I want to show you guys is an app called Cardhop. Now, Cardhop is priced at $19.99, and Cardhop is basically lives in your Mac status bar, or if you're like me, I have it located hidden in the Mac status bar. But here we can click this, and it'll bring up a list of our sort of contacts in a list view. And it's very easy. It's actually made by the same developers of Fantastical 2, and it sort of has the same functionality as well. So for example, I can add a contact, Steve Thompson. And as you can see, as I'm starting to type Steve Thompson, it'll actually populate the fields. And then I can say, you know, 040100, whatever. I can just put a number there. And then you'll see it populates the mobile field. I could put a, you know, email address in at gmail.com. I can put an address, 123 Fake Street, Fake State, Fake Country. Sort of, you can see that it shows you all of the different things there. You can do a website, so you'll see it populates the website, and there's a whole bunch of things that you can do with this. Now, what I really like is that it shows all of your calendars with their profile pictures. It shows you your recent contacts that you previously contacted, and it's got this, you know, whole list view as well with the letters, so I can go straight to like the letter U or the letter, you know, whoever, so P, and so I can get access to my stuff. Now it works with iCloud, works with your Gmail accounts. And it's definitely just one of those things that it's a nice to have sort of app. It's not completely necessary, but it does actually fulfill the needs for me, as opposed to what Apple's Contact Manager does. And it sort of just lives in the menu bar, so I can easily call people from here, and I can just, you know, place a call. You know, I can just place a call, video call through, you know, FaceTime, etc., email, stuff like that, and it's just nice to have. So that is basically Cardhop, $19.99, not too bad, but yeah. So the next app that we're going to be looking at is an app called CleanShot. Now, CleanShot is priced at $19, and this app is sort of like a replacement for me in terms of what the default screenshot manager built into macOS already is. So what CleanShot does is it allows you to sort of keep a history of all the different sort of screenshots that you've taken. And what I really like about it is that if I was to come into here and open up a Finder window, for example, and I press Command-Shift-4, which is the default key pretty much for macOS as well, I could then select an area here, take a screenshot, and here here's a preview of it. It sort of just stays on the overlay on top of it. You can copy it, you can save it. You can also see a preview. If I just click on this for a moment, you'll see it clicks and it shows a preview of what I've just taken. You can also edit it. So for example, here you've got some different things, so you can sort of transcribe and stuff like that. What I really like about this tool right here, though, is I can obfuscate things. So I can pixelate things that I don't want to show. So for example, if this was a password I didn't want to show, or if this is some important information that I didn't want to show, you could see that then that is saved there. I can click done, and then I can copy that and I can paste that to something, you know. It just allows you to keep track of all of the different screenshots that you're taking on your Mac. And what I also like about it is if you say had a whole lot of icons on the desktop. So for example, we had a whole bunch of stuff on the desktop, and then I wanted to screenshot just this window here. I can press the space bar as you would through normal Mac OS, take a screenshot, and what it will do is it will take the screenshot and it'll take out all of the icons in the background. So this is what you would be left with. You'd just be left with this clean looking Mac screenshot. And you can also do some other things like screen recording. So I can go up to the top here and I can go up to capture area, capture full screen, capture record a video. So I can go into here and then I can just simply drag part of the screen and say I want to start showing somebody how to open up applications. So I'll go into the applications folder and I want to show somebody how to get to, the utilities folder. So there it is right there. Then I go back into the top and I can click stop. And then here we go. There is the video that I just took, and there it is with my voice as well. So then you can copy it, you can save it, whatever you want to do with that particular file, and then share it across. And it just makes it so that you can do certain things. You can show someone how to do something really quickly. It's one of those apps that is definitely a must-have on my list. Okay, so the next app that I want to show you guys is something that you might have already seen in the video, but that is when I open up a new window, you'll notice that the background gets darker. So then when I open up another Chrome window, for example, you'll see that as I open up different windows and then I scroll back, go back to a different window, it sort of makes it so that the window in the background sort of goes darkened, and the app in view sort of now is in focus. And this app is called HazeOver for $5.99. Now, HazeOver allows you to do just that. You sort of can go up to the top here in this menu bar icon, and I can scroll with my trackpad on the icon, and I can make it darker or I can make it lighter so that it's just the normal thing right like that. But I usually have it around the middle, so that way I can focus on one sort of window at a time. I can then go into something like the App Store and say I want to make the window a bit smaller. Then you can sort of kind of keep everything in view that you would. So then I can go back into this. I'm sort of focused on one thing at a time. And I really like this functionality because I get, kind of easily distracted sometimes. So it's just nice to be able to come into this app and then sort of, turn it off, turn it on. I can sort of, kind of adjust the settings here, or I can even disable it only when I'm using certain apps. So you can go into preferences here as well. You can come in and change it yourself into this option here. And you can also show the different gestures of how it works. Very cool. And you've also got the different things here as well. So there's some awesome options in that. And it's definitely one of the great apps that I actually use on a day-to-day basis. So definitely recommend checking out HazeOver. $5.99. It's pretty cheap for what it does. And yeah, definitely a great app. All right, so the next app that I want to talk to you guys about is Archiver, and Archiver is priced at $19.99. And whilst there are other archiving apps on the market, some that are even free, and some that even do the basics of the functionality that most archiving tools do, I really like this one for its clean UI, its interface, and its animations as well. Now, opening up Archiver, you'll find the option here to drag files in. So I've got an archive here that I want to drag into it. I can then archive or split it. I can then choose archive. I can choose the archiving format that I want to choose. So there's a few options here. So I just want to choose Archiver. You can then set the quality. It has its own sort of built-in quality compression methods here. So I can set the quality of the photo. I personally like to use 7-zip. The options here allow me to encrypt it with a password, so it'll always have to ask you for a password. So I can set a little password here, and then bring that through, and then it's going to create the actual archive, and you'll see that it's found on the desktop. I can click done. I can go on and do it again, and then once I want to open this archive again, it's going to ask me for the password, so I'll just put that in, and there we go, off it goes, and it is uncompressed. So just a really good little app to have. Again, there are lots of other free alternatives out there that do similar functionality. I just liked it for its interface and animation. All right, next up is an app called Forklift. Now, Forklift is a sort of a replacement to Finder. I haven't been able to use it to the same extent as Finder, but what I like about it is it's a dual pane manager. So as you can see here, I have two sort of folders open side by side. Now, Finder by default has the option to do multiple tabs. You can go up to here and do a new tab, but you can't have them open side by side, which is not I'm not a big fan of. I wanted to be able to sort of have them side by side like Forklift does. Now, Forklift will show you them side by side, but what's really unique about this app is that it'll actually show you things that you previously wouldn't be able to do within Finder. So for example, if I was to come up to here and I can actually, let me see, I can go up to here and I can click on favorites, add to favorites. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Go. That's the one I'm looking for. Connect. And I can add a whole bunch of different things to it. So I can add, different sort of servers. You've got a whole bunch of things, Google Drive, SMB, AFP, VNC. So there's a whole bunch of things that I can add here. And so, for example, I have one tab here open. So if I want to go into my website, I can do that right there. I can have it open on one tab, and I can have multiple tabs showing here as well. So 2 side by side, but then also tabs within a tab. So there you go. You can kind of access more folders there. I can go into that, and then I can have one like that. And it's just a really nice way to be able to sort of see what you're actually viewing. Now you can also show the preview of things. So if I wanted to go in here and just preview the icon, I can still have a preview of what is shown. I personally hide the preview because I like to have things side by side, because I can always just, spacebar and then see a preview of whatever I'm looking at. But it's really nice to be able to also transfer between different things. So for example, I have Google Drive here. So if I want to access something within Google Drive and then I want to transfer it to my server, or say I wanted to transfer something from my web server to my Google Drive, I can do that all from here without having to sort of transfer this file to my desktop. I can just transfer it straight to Google Drive, and then it's the process is done. It's as simple as that. So it's something that I use to sort of go into my actual servers, my QNAP server, and I can just get access to things like that. But it's not a total replacement for me for Finder. I think that I've just become accustomed to using Finder, so it's not something that I can continue to always keep in my Mac status bar and always go for Forklift. I would have liked there to be an option to be able to just sort of replace Finder and just click on Finder and then open up Forklift, but there isn't an option for that. It's something that you really have to get used to, just opening Forklift each time. But it is a great app, and for what it does, it works really well. So Forklift is $29.95, but yeah, if it's something that you guys need, for sure, get that one as well. So I don't know about you guys, but I try to keep my Mac clean most of the time. You can see that I've got pretty much a clean sort of looking desktop, nothing sort of in the background. I try to keep my files and stuff uploaded to cloud and stuff like that as well. So CleanMyMac X is the next app in this list, and it's just sort of to keep your Mac clean from junk and stuff like that. As you can see, it gives you a really nice looking interface. So here we can just click on scan. It's going to scan all of the junk, things that we don't necessarily need on the Mac. It's going to scan, it's going to check protection, make sure everything's running smoothly, and then we can click run here. And so what it's going to do is it's going to start to find things that cached files, stuff that you generally aren't using that much of, safely cleaning things, not your unnecessary files that you haven't viewed in ages. It's not going to do that. It's going to keep sort of a clean workflow of what you've got, sort of images that have been built up into your web browser, stuff like that. And so there we go. I've just cleared 1.37 gigabytes of data from my computer. And then I can even go even further into it. So I can go, I want to clear some system junk. I can scan for that. I can search photos. I can search mail attachments if I use mail. I can choose malware removal. I can scan if my computer has any malware. It's clean, great news. You can check for privacy, make sure nothing's being used. We can see it gives us a few options here. So Safari, we've got some different tabs from last session. We can clear all of these options, really great to be able to clear tabs from last session. I can do that. And there we go. It's taken out. Great. So now I have 801 gigabytes of free space. I can do some optimization. I can do some maintenance, so free up some memory. Say I want to do that. I want to flush DNS, or I want to rebuild the index of Spotlight. Not that I generally use Spotlight because I'm using Alfred, but there we go. We can do a really simple task like that. Which would be a little bit more time consuming if you were to do manually within Terminal, but the ability to do this within just CleanMyMac is really great just to be able to do that. You've also got the option to uninstall apps that you previously probably wouldn't have used for a while. So here I can see there's a whole bunch of apps here that I probably, so for example, Chrome Remote Desktop, I'm not going to use this. I can uninstall that. It's going to go do that. And there you go. It's done. Updater, really nice thing about this is you can sort of update all of your apps at once. So I can select all, I can update them, I can quit, go for it, and it's going to start updating that. It's going to find the latest version of those apps and go and update them. Really great to see that as well. You can also go down to Space Lens. This is going to give you sort of a preview of what your storage is looking like in a map. So it'll come up in just a second. So this will give you an idea of what's actually being used on your Mac. So you can see you've got a bit of an idea of what it's actually using. And so that's pretty much what that is. And you can also shred files. If you want to securely erase files from your computer, you can do that as well. So we'll just do that. But yeah, that's what CleanMyMac X is in a nutshell. I think it's definitely one of the best apps, and I had my sort of was a little bit skeptical of this app at first, but after using it, I'm really impressed with it, and I definitely think that it's worth the $34.95 that it is. But yeah, CleanMyMac X, definitely one of those ones on the top of my list that I recommend you guys to check out. So the next app that I want to talk to you guys is about an app that's actually been around for quite a while, and it's called Little Snitch. Now, Little Snitch is a sort of a firewall sort of replacement for macOS. It's I've actually replaced it completely by macOS now, and so what it allows me to do is keep track of all of the apps on my computer, my browser, and sort of see where my connections are actually being, used, where they're actually going. And so I can keep track on this map here to be able to see what's actually going on my computer. So here it gives you sort of an interface of where all of these locations, all the different sort of routes are going for different traffic. So you can see that, for example, if I was to go into a certain app here, like Forklift, you'll see that it's taking me to different parts of the world. I can go into this and see what it's actually using. So it's going to a Google API, and then it's also going back to Binary Nights server. I can go into this even more. I can see, okay, so it's actually just wanting to update the actual the app. So it's really cool that you're able to see all the different things that it's actually doing. I can see exactly what apps are using, what apps are actually doing on my computer. And so I know that I'm, sort of safe from, say, an app that I don't necessarily know that well. I can check out as well. So that is pretty much what Little Snitch is, and it is. I really like its interface. It's got this really nice sort of, status bar thing here. I can simply open it by Command and tilde. And so I just have it set up on a hotkey like that. I can see traffic usage. There is also a menu bar icon, but I choose to disable it. I like to just keep iStep menus in place, but there is a status bar that you can use in case you want to do that. Now, what's nice about this is currently I have, usually I have Option Alt, so I usually have my notifications on mute, but so it will show up as a notification different here in silent mode. So when an app is opened, it'll ask you, usually sometimes if it isn't in silent mode, if you want to approve or deny the request. So say I was opening up an app like Mail, which is usually open, which is already allowed by default, or say I was to open something like Things, it would ask me when I first run the application, do I want to allow access to Things? And being able to, for it to go off and do something like updates and stuff like that. You can actually select which ones you want to allow. So just in this menu here, say for example, I don't trust CleanMyMac X, but I do. But I could click on this X here, and that means that all traffic is going to be stopped to that app. I can then also just prove all outgoing connections to that app, all incoming connections. And it's just a really great sort of way to know what's being shared. I can go into Juice here. You can see, okay, it wants to go to this website. It's going to be doing updates. We know that that's what it's doing. So that's pretty much what this app is. It's definitely a little bit pricey. It's $45, but it's one of those apps that if you want to keep an eye on what your computer is doing, sometimes things can be a little sketchy. You just want to know what's going on. It's one of those firewall things that I just have running, and it's definitely one of the best apps that I have when I'm just curious about what's going on on my computer. But for most of the apps that I'm using, I never have to really worry about that anyways. But it's just nice knowing that I can go back to this and check on something that's going on in the background. All right, so the next app that I want to show you guys is called Byword, and it's priced at $10.99. Now, Byword is a Markdown application, and whilst there are lots of other Markdown applications out there, what I like about this one is its clean sort of interface. You can see it's got dark mode, and what's nice about this is I can go up to here and I can choose paragraph focus. So I can just choose to focus on one paragraph at a time and go back into here. I can choose that and say I'm working on a script, because mostly I use Byword for script writing, but I can then go into here and I can choose line focus. So just choose a line at a time, and it gives me the option just to sort of focus on a script one line at a time. You've also got some counters. So down at the bottom here, I've got 397 words, 1,996 characters. I've also got some preferences here. So I can choose light mode if I want to. I can choose the different narrow, medium, wide views to be able to see it. I can change the, the different things for the appearance. For dark mode, I choose dark mode. You can choose the different fonts in here as well, which is nice. I've got a few different fonts in there. You can kind of customize that. You can change it to your own font as well. And you can also see it as rich format as well, so rich text. So you can bring up images and stuff like that. Now, it's not great. It's not perfect. It doesn't have everything that I would prefer in a Markdown application. There are other free ones that are available. I believe Typora is one of them, which is free until after version 1.0. What I like about Typora is it has this really minimalistic bar here at the top. I kind of wish that Byword had that functionality where you could just get rid of the actual bar at the top, but you could always just go full screen if you wanted to and type away like that. That's one option, but I do like that for its functionality. I also don't like that it's missing a couple of features. So for example, in AI Writer or Typora, you can press, you can go Apple 2 and you can select it, and that would select H1, H2. It would select the different heading format, but when you do that in this, nothing happens. So unfortunately, you can't do most shortcuts in this app, something that they could definitely update in the future. But for the most part, it's got a clean interface and it does what it needs to do. All right, so the next app that I want to talk to you guys about is an app called Luminar. And Luminar is priced at $79, and it's a sort of a replacement of what Adobe Lightroom is in a way. So what I like about Luminar is that you don't have to pay a subscription fee for this application. With Adobe Lightroom, you have to pay a subscription fee, and you're only sort of able to use it if you have the subscription. So this app is great, and for the most part, it does pretty much what I need to do in a layout such like this. So I took some photos the other day, and here I've taken a photo here, and I can actually go into the edit panel, and I can just adjust this. It's got an amazing sort of layout here to be able to sort of adjust photos. So I can bring down the highlights, bring through the highlights. I can change the shadows. I can change the whites, the blacks. It's also got some great options for AI features. So it's got this AI feature here, which will bring through details, and it only chooses the details that is sort of the most important. It shows you can also do a sky enhancer, so it'll just bring through the sky, which is really nice. You've got a whole bunch of options here, curves. Everyone loves curves. You've got a polarizing filter here that affects, different parts of it. You've got a whole bunch of stuff here. You can also add filters, just like you would in Adobe Lightroom. You've got all of these different filters here. So for example, an adjustable gradient, I can go in here and I can say, all right, I want to set the orientation, and I want to bring it up to here maybe. So that way I'm going to choose to have maybe a higher exposure. Maybe I want to bring in some warmth or some coolness here. Change the vibrance a bit, and then I can choose the bottom part of it. Maybe I want it to be a little bit lower. Maybe I want it to be a bit more vibrant here, maybe a bit more warmth here. And you can see it really changes the way that you sort of develop your photos. It's definitely one of my favorite sort of apps in this list, and its library is really great as well, because what I like about this is that you can set it to sort of scan one folder. So I have one folder on my QNAP NAS that has basically all of my raw photos in it. And then I can go and add new photos to it. I can even add photos straight from Luminar through its import functions. And then it will add it to that folder, and it will then show it up in the library list. So it's got a really nice catalog view here. And so I can just go through all of the photos. It loads up straight away. It keeps it in a cache as well, so I can get access to it. It's not like I'm scrubbing through and it's having to load each one. It'll take a moment to load to begin with, but then once it's loaded, you can see it's really quite easy. It does take a little while for the photo to come over, but that's due to the limitation of Wi-Fi and my server. But then once it's loaded up, it takes probably a couple of moments, but then I've got access. I can start sort of editing the photo that I've got here. I can bring through some highlights. I can bring up some whites. I can, shadows, blacks. You can, do so much stuff with this, and you can just really transform the photo. You can do noise reduction. You can do vibrance, a bit of vibrance there. This accent filter really brings in different colors. The sky enhancer, you can see that it changes the colors for the sky. You've got the curves here as well. I can sort of adjust this a little bit. And so I can already transform. You can do HSL. I can do some, change some of the different colors in my image, maybe make the blues a little bit bluer. It's really like the sky is the limit with this app, and it's one of those apps that I use on a daily basis, because I am doing photography on such a daily basis now, that it is one of those apps that is just an absolute must in this list. So that's pretty much what Luminar 3 is. Luminar 4, I believe, is coming out soon at the end of this year, and I can't wait to see the features of Luminar 4. It's going to be really awesome, some really cool options as well. But that is what Luminar 3 is in a nutshell. So that one, $79, I think it's definitely worth it for its price because of what you actually get out of it. And it's sort of just, for me, it just beats basically, so many apps. There are so many apps that, allow you to do things like this already. But for what it does, it processes raw photos really well. And definitely a recommendation, guys. All right, last but not least, we're going to be looking at an app which is actually really useful for creating tutorials and videos and things like these videos, like the one that I'm recording for you guys right now. So if I was to go into this, it's called Screenflow. Screenflow is priced at $129, and what it allows you to do is record your screen. So I can create a new document here, and you'll see that if I go up into the top menu bar here, I'm actually already recording. So I've been recording for 54 minutes. I'm going to be sort of organizing all of this footage at the end. But as you can see here, I can create a new recording. I can choose to just capture this screen and it actually populates it up. If you've got multiple screens, you can choose the one that it'll come up with. You can choose to record video from a web camera. You can choose to record an iOS device if you have one connected to the computer. You can also choose the different one that I'll actually choose record from, which is nice. For now, I'm just going to unrecord that. I can choose to record computer audio, or I can create a new document. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to come into here. And within this app interface, we have basically like a video editor. We can add recordings to this. We can import files. We can import media to it. We can also do a whole bunch of stuff. So for example, if I was to come into here and I was to add a recording, so what I'll do is I will go to here, new recording, and we're going to go into here. We're going to start a new recording, and I can't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a little recording, and then I'm going to show you guys what actually happens in part of that. All right, so once I've added my sort of clip and I've recorded, I can then go down to Screenflow and I can see that I've got my timeline of basically what I've just recorded. So in here, I can do different actions. I might just mute that for a second. But so what I can do is I can go into different actions. So for example, I want to showcase a certain feature, or I want to showcase a certain part of an app. So right here is a great opportunity. I want to select the bottom video, and then I can go down to here and I can choose add an action. So from here, I can then scale up to this portion of the video because this is what I want to showcase in the video. And then once I go back a little bit, I can then press play. It'll then bring the app that I want into view. And then I can also go a step further. I can go into the mouse cursor part. I can add a call out so that only the mouse cursor is now in view. So then I can zoom up to the mouse cursor. I can add a bit of a border to it. And then I want to showcase sort of this, so I might just add a bit of a feather. I can also blur the background if I choose to, but then I can also add sort of an outro and intro section to this. So then if I go back and then press that, you'll see that it actually starts to focus on that part of the mouse that I've just brought into view. So it really allows you to sort of customize the way that your videos look. If you're doing tutorials, you're doing showcases, stuff like that. It's a really great app to be able to do that sort of thing. You can also do callouts, so text callouts. You can do annotations. You can sort of draw attention to a space. You can do video motion. You can do audio ducking as well, which is great if you have music, but then you have or audio in the background, and you want to also then bring your audio into view. There is a whole bunch of options here that you can do. You can bring in video. So if you wanted to have yourself shown as a section of the screen, you could do so. So there is a whole bunch of things that you can do, but it also has the option to add stock footage. So if you purchase the license that has the stock footage option, then you can also add things like stock footage and to add to your video. So here you've got a whole bunch of stock footage that you can use in your video, that you can also then put ads up on your video. You can add music to it. You can add a whole bunch of stuff, and you can search for things as well. So if I just want to search for car, it's going to come up with cars, stock footage of cars that I can put up in there. You can put music into there. You can do a whole range of things into this. And I think it's just one of those apps that if you are creating content for YouTube or Vimeo or whatever it is, you can do this sort of thing right within this application. It's definitely worth it. $129 for what it does. Perfect price in my opinion. And I think it just is a great all-round app for recording. But that in a nutshell is pretty much what this video has been about. If you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to click that like button, subscribe for more, and yeah, hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.